Hi, in this video, we'll discuss beginner level interview questions. What is LangChain and why do we need it instead of using OpenAI or Claude API directly? LangChain provides an interface and abstract the implementation logic for calling different LLMs. So like we don't have to deal with the calling logic. In future, if we want to shift from one LLM provider to another LLM provider, we can easily do that without changing lot of code. If we go with using OpenAI or Cloud API directly, we have to rewrite the entire logic. Not only this, LangChain provides a lot of tool supports like managing the context memory, calling external tools, calling databases, retrieving documents, all this stuff. These are popular providers in LangChain. We have like OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, AWS, Olama, Grok, Hugging Face. Like we have multiple providers, and not only Python, we can use TypeScript or JavaScript, and we can integrate LangChain in Node.js applications. If you see here, like if we want to call OpenAI models, we can just pass model name and we can directly invoke model. In future, if we want to shift to Anthropic, just we have to change model name, that's it, and we can invoke the model as it is. We don't need to change anything, like just the model name and the API key. In future, if again we shift to Google, we just have to change API key and model name. Everything stays same. Why should we use prompt template instead of formatting strings in Python? Prompt template makes our prompts reusable and dynamic, and we can have placeholders in the prompt template and replace them while calling the LLMs. Here we have a prompt template and we have these placeholders. While calling the LLM, we are replacing the placeholders. Like adjective is replaced with scary and the content is replaced with programming. And here we are getting the response. This is a simple prompt template where we are replacing username and user input. Here we are replacing username with Bob and user input is with what's your name. And here we are printing the prompt. Here name is replaced and the user is input also replaced. Not only simple string replace, we can replace entire conversation history. Here we have conversation placeholder. We are replacing conversation placeholder with these list of messages. When we print these messages, we get this array. And in LangChain, we have prompt hub where we can store all the prompts. These are the prompts which are readily available in the LangChain hub. And we can simply get the prompt by mentioning the prompt name. Why does LangChain have both OpenAI and Chart OpenAI? And when would you use each? OpenAI is single shot prompting. Like if you give input, it will give response. But chat OpenAI is chain of thought prompting. We can interact with LLM multiple times, and it has all the context stored in the context window. With OpenAI, we can ask one question and it will provide the response. Coming to chat OpenAI, we can ask LLM multiple questions and it stores all the context in a session window, and it uses the context to provide a response for us. Why do LLMs need memory in LangChain, and how does it actually work? Generally, LLMs are stateless. They don't need any state. Without state also they will work fine. But if we have a complex task, or if we are not satisfied with the response, we can ask to fine tune the response for us. So it stores all the chat history and it provides the response for us. When would you choose conversation summary memory over standard conversation buffer memory? Buffer memory saves every single word from our chart, but after certain point of time, if context window grows, we will hit the limit. So what it has to do is, it has to summarize the entire context to smaller text. So we can have endless conversations with the LLM, and by this we can also reduce our cost. What is LCEL, LangChain Expression Language? This is modern way to write LangChain code, just like Linux pipe operator. What it does is, it provides prompt response to model as input and model response to output parser as input. If you check here, like here we have prompt and the model and the output parser. Here we are passing the prompt to model and model response to output parser. This is LCE, and we are invoking this LCE and we are getting the response here. What are text splitters and why do we need them in LangChain? LLMs have fixed context window, so we can't fit large data into single context. So we split the text into multiple smaller chunks and we store it in the database. And we will also configure the overlap between the chunks so that we won't lost the boundaries. These chunks are retrieved when we need them, like only most relevant one are retrieved and sent to LLM so that we can fit the data in the context, and we will only retrieve what we needed so that we can save the token cost. We have multiple text splitters available in the LangChain. Text splitters by token, characters. Here the character text splitter splits the text into 100 chunk size, and we can have chunk overlap also configured. And the other text splitters are markdown text splitters. It splits based on the headers. The HTML splits based on the tags. JSON splits based on the object or array elements. Code text splitter splits by functions, classes and blocks. What is vector store and how it is different from normal database? A normal database just search for exact keyword match, but coming to vector database, it searches for near meaning. What vector database does is, it breaks the text into smaller chunks and convert it into embeddings and store them in the database. When user asks a question, it finds mathematically nearest text and it provides the response. It is a brain behind RAG. What is an output parser in LangChain and why it is useful? LLMs naturally output text, but when we need JSON or list, we have to use LLM parser to get the desired response. Here we are asking LLM for 5 common fruits in a comma separated string. So what we did is, like, we have configured comma separated list output parser and we are parsing the response from LLM and we are printing the response here so that we get the response as comma separated list. These are the output parsers provided by LangChain. We have base generation output parser, JSON output parser, comma separated list output parser, markdown list output parser, numbered list output parser. These are the different output parsers provided by LangChain. In LangChain, what is the main difference between chain and agent? Chain is nothing but hard-coded sequence steps. It will always do the exactly same order. But coming to agent, it has some intelligence, so it dynamically decides what steps to take and what steps to skip. If we have a step A, B, C, what agent will do is it will go from step A to step B and then to step C. But coming to agent, and if we have step A, B, C, what agent can do is agent can pick step A and step C and skip the step B. It can dynamically decide and proceed with the steps which are needed and skips the steps which are not needed. Thank you.